All right, so I left off not quite sure how I was going to finish this sketch that I started. And so I decided putting some lines in. So I was thinking back to that circle folding we did. So what I want to do, let's try blue maybe, is extend these lines here to kind of go like that. So I just want to take lines, like I already have the lines to these points on the polygon, and I just want to keep them going. So I can use the points that I already have to make that happen. So I can play around with something like this maybe. And so I could use polyline, I could use line, and I decided I was going to use polyline to make that happen because I think it's easier to type. So identifying some points. Well, these points here were pretty straightforward to identify, and I already have those in my SVG image. And to extend lines through those edges on the polygon, I just got to figure out another point on each side to get the lines to go farther. And we can just use basic ideas of slope. So for example, to get from this point to that point right there, I have to rise from 50 to 10. So I have a rise of 40 there. And then I have to run over this way from, what was that, 35 over to 60. So then I want to increase 40 going that direction. And then I want to increase 10, 25 in that direction. And if I want to go the other way, then I would just do, I guess that would be a decrease of 40. I always get that backwards when I'm playing with SVG. Remember, down is positive on SVG. So that'd be a decrease of 40 that way. And if I wanted to get a point in this direction, then I would have to drop down 40. So that would be a plus 40 that way. And then I would have to decrease by 25 to get over there. All right, so if I start off, I'm going to make a table to make this happen. So I've got this point right here. So for my x, y, I've got 60, 10. And then I want to get a point over this way somewhere. So to do that, I'm going to use the same slope. So I'm going to drop 40. So I'll have to minus 40 from the y. So 10 minus 40 is going to give me a negative 30. And then I'm going to have to increase the x from, let's see here, would be 60 by 25. So 60 and 25 is what, 85? Right, so again, I'm using what I wrote there. So I'm going to drop that by 40. And I want to increase that by 25. And so this is a new point that I'm going to use in the polygon tool right there. There we go. So that's a new point. And then from this point over here, that point is 3550. So in that case, I want to increase the y values. That one's going to go a plus 40. And then I want to decrease the x value. So then I'll do a minus 25. So that's going to put me at positive 10 there. And then that should put me at 90. Okay. So then what I want to do is use the polyline. And these points need to go in order based on the x value. So then, so what would that look like? So for the polyline, I'm going to have the points, the lowest x value would be 10, 90, and then the next one would be 35, 50. And actually, it doesn't matter. As long as they're in order some way, either increasing or decreasing by x, it should work. And then next one would be 60, 10. So I'm just reordering the points in my table there. And then the next one would be 85, negative 30. And I like to put commas in between them. So that's going to be part of my polyline in my SVG. And then I repeated that process for these points here. And I found a point up here and another point down there. And I made a polyline for that. And then this one's pretty easy because I could pick any points I want, and y is always 90 on that one. So that one was super easy. And then I connected these 2 points with a polyline, and these 2 points with a polyline, and these 2 points with a polyline. And again, it's just a matter of identifying those, which most of these I identified before. So I just had to find how many new points. 1, 2, 3. I had to find like somewhere between 3 and 6 more points to make that happen. So let's go take a look at my code, see what it looks like. All right, so here's my image. Let's blow this up a little bit. Okay, and then let's blow that up a little bit. So there's a couple ways to do it. You could zoom in on your screen, or I showed before, you could just increase the width and the height proportionally. So if I just double those two, that'll double the, but you got to double both of them. And you can't add something, it's got to be a multiplier. So 340 doubled is 680, and then 220 doubled is 440. And that'll make the image look bigger. Nice, okay. So that's what I'm playing with here. And let's take a look at some of the things I wrote. So here you can see I added a polyline with 1, 2, 3, 4 points, kind of like I was playing around with before. And this one has a negative 15 for x, so that'd be off to the left of the screen, 130 for y. So that would be down here somewhere. So that's probably a point on this line here. And then I've got 3550, which is that point. And then I've got 6010, which is that point. And then 85, negative 30. So you can see that these three match what I just wrote in my notes, but for some reason earlier I picked a different point here, and I just remembered why. With the other point in my sketch, was down here, that would be the 1090. Then the line ended abruptly in the corner of the image. And I decided after I did that, I wanted the line to go off the image. So I had to pick a point outside the image. So that's why I changed this one right here. And then again, I did that similarly for, let's see, this one right here. Notice they're both y equals 90. So that would be this line here at the bottom. And then this set of points right here is that line across there. And to get this typed correctly, let's save that. What I did was I looked back at my previous work, like this one with the many shapes, and I just picked one of the things that I wanted. Like, right, I decided I wanted a polyline. So I just stole all of this right here and then deleted the points that were on this image, making that line to make mine. So all I'm doing is borrowing from other things. So to do that, I had two windows open together. So I had this one open, and I was just copying stuff from this file and pasting it here and then tweaking it. And I had done this much in my previous video. So since then, like I said in my notes, I added these outer lines here in the first one. And I put those first because I wanted them behind my hexagon circle, right? The order you put them in matters because that's layering. And then after, here's my circle and hexagon together. Notice I put the hexagon, the polygon on top of the circle because I wanted a little bit of circle color behind the polygon. And then I've got some other polylines. And I commented some out because I was playing around and I didn't like those, but I didn't want to delete them. So if you don't know how to comment out things in a SVG, don't worry about it. You can just delete them and not worry about them. But when I was doing that, apparently I didn't want to completely delete those in case I needed those points again. I'm going to say I don't want them anymore. All right, so those three polylines are these three crisscrossing in the middle, and one of them got extra long there. And then one of the sites I recommended before was the Coolers site, which had some different color schemes you could play around with. And so I had made some notes of some color schemes that I thought were cute. to pick this orange, that orange, and that blue. But these are some other color schemes I thought were cute. Let's take a look. Oop, what did I do there? Copy, paste. So that looks like the color scheme that I ended up using because oh, no, I didn't want to do that. Stop it. Oh, that was cute because I ended up using this blue and that yellow orange and that orange right there. But I must have thought these other color palettes were pretty cute too, so I saved them. What do they look like? So many possibilities. It's cool that people have websites where you can play around with color palettes like this and people can share them. Howdy, Fabrizio. Thank you for this website. So this is another color palette I thought was nice. And this was linked in the assignment page, this website. Anyway, so I'm not grading you on artistic style or anything. I just want you to play around with drawing a sketch on that grid and then coming up with some kind of image that you sketched. And so for this one, you should take a photo of the image that you sketched out. So I'm hoping to see something like this. Probably going to be a little messy. That's cool. And then the link to your finished result there. All right, hope this helps. Thanks. Keep up the good work. I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.